All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are going to build a mental model for what I think is one of the most powerful new features out there for developers, GitHub Copilot Custom Agents.
So, you know how we've all gotten used to Copilot giving us code snippets? Okay, imagine moving way beyond that. Like, what if you had an AI assistant that could manage your entire dev workflow? I'm talking about stuff like scaffolding a whole new service or running a full validation pipeline, all from a single prompt.
Well, that's exactly the problem custom agents are designed to solve. And honestly, it's a game changer. So, how do they actually pull this off? Let's dive in and take a look under the hood. Okay, first things first, we need a bit of a mental shift here. This is probably the most important thing to get your head around. Copilot isn't just a code completion tool anymore. You gotta start thinking of it as an engine for running your entire workflow.
Yeah, we're not talking about just writing a single function. We're talking about orchestrating a whole series of actions to hit some complex goal. Think about it. You could set up a new project from a template, run a validation pipeline against your code, or even refactor an entire module based on a really specific set of rules, all automated.
But wait, if you're gonna build these super powerful agents, how do you stop them from becoming a total unmaintainable mess? Well, there is one central idea that you absolutely have to grasp. It's the core principle that makes this whole system actually work and stay clean. So this idea of separating your concerns, it's absolutely fundamental. And the best part? It's not just some abstract high-level concept. Nope. It is literally built right into the file structure of how you create custom agents. And here's how it breaks down. This principle maps directly to 3 specific file types. You've got your agent file, which is all about what to do. Then there's the tree file, which handles how to decide. And finally, the knowledge file, which holds what to use. Let's dig into each of these. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. These are the building blocks, and you're about to see how this separation principle really comes to life in your actual code. First up, the agent file. Think of this as the project manager, or maybe the brains of the operation. It defines the high-level workflow, the sequence of steps. It's directing all the traffic. But here's the key. It intentionally stays out of the weeds. It doesn't want to know about the messy details of logic or data. So, what happens when your agent needs to make a choice? Let's say, based on user input, it has to decide which project template to use. Well, instead of cluttering the agent file with a bunch of if-else statements, it consults a tree file. This is your decision flowchart. It keeps the main workflow in your agent file incredibly clean and simple. And last but not least, the knowledge file. This is your reference library. So instead of stuffing your agent's prompts with huge blocks of text or code examples or config data, which would be a total nightmare, you just store all of that raw info in separate knowledge files. Then you just reference it when you need it. So much cleaner. And look at this. You can see this separation in practice right here in the directory structure. It's not just a suggestion, it's how it's designed. Agents, trees, and knowledge files. They each live in their own dedicated folder. This just reinforces their specific role, and honestly makes any project so much easier to understand at a glance. Okay, so we've got our building blocks, agents, trees, knowledge. But how do we put them all together to tackle those really big, complex tasks? Well, that's where something called the orchestrator pattern comes into play. The idea is pretty simple, actually. You create a primary agent that doesn't really do any of the grunt work itself. Instead, it acts like a senior manager. Its only job is to delegate specific, focused tasks to other, smaller, sub-agents. This orchestrator isn't writing code or validating files. It's just focused on the big picture, the high-level workflow. So the orchestrator's job boils down to this really simple 4-step loop. First, it gathers context and figures out what needs to be done. Second, it delegates those tasks out to its specialized subagents. Third, it collects the structured results from them. And finally, it coordinates the whole workflow, deciding what happens next. The beauty of this is that it breaks down these massive workflows into small, manageable, reusable, and, super important, testable parts. Each subagent has one job, and it does that one job really, really well. Now, here's a little gotcha you need to be aware of. How you actually do this delegation, how you hand off work to a subagent, is a little bit different depending on where your agent is running. The syntax you use in your local VS Code is not the same as what you'd use on github.com. So in VS Code, you're going to use the handoffs property, and you put that right in the front matter, that YAML configuration at the top of the file. This usually shows up as a button for the user to click to trigger that subagent. But over on github.com, it's different. There you use the run subagent function, and you call it directly in the body of the agent. This means it's an inline automatic execution, no button clicking needed.
All right, let's bring this all home. We've built the mental model, so now let's talk about putting it into practice. I'm going to run through some absolutely critical do's and don'ts to keep you on the right track. Okay, the do's. The number one takeaway, if you remember nothing else, is this: decompose and reference. Break everything down into small, laser-focused files. Reference your knowledge, don't just paste it in. Make a separate tree for every type of decision. And keep your agents focused only on orchestrating the workflow. It's that simple. An agent orchestrates, a tree decides, and a knowledge file informs. Now for the don'ts, and this is just as important. The absolute biggest mistake you can make is creating one giant monolithic file that tries to do everything. Just don't. Avoid that at all costs. Don't embed knowledge in your agent, don't mix your decision logic with your knowledge, and please, don't use vague instructions like improve this code. Be specific, be focused. And a big one, don't grant your agents more tool access than they absolutely need. Principle of least privilege always. So there you have it. You've got the blueprint now. With this course separation principle in your back pocket, separating the what to do from the how to decide and the what to use, you are totally ready to start building some seriously powerful automations. The only question left is, what's the first workflow you're going to automate?